Hello, class. Welcome to the next math lesson in 8th grade Eureka Math. We're in Module 4, and this is Lesson 5, all about writing and solving linear equations. You'll be needing pages 41 through 49 in your workbook today. Today's lesson vocabulary, we have 3 words about angles: congruent, complementary, and supplementary. Congruent we practiced before in other modules this year. Congruent means same shape and same size. Same shape and same size, that is congruent. You will see that word in today's lesson talking about congruent angles. Next vocabulary word is complementary angles. Complementary angles is 2 angles that add up to 90. The last vocabulary word is supplementary angles. Supplementary angles, 2 angles that add up to 180. Now, I have a little bit of a trick for remembering complementary, the difference between complementary and supplementary. At least it works in my brain, but my brain's a little bit weird sometimes, so it might not work for you, but if it does, I'm going to share it. Complementary means 90. Supplementary is 180. The way I remember it, if I ever get confused, the word complementary has 1 P in it. The word supplementary has 2 P's. Now, this is where my weird brain comes in. A P is a backwards 9. A P is a backwards 9. So complementary has 1 P, so complementary means 90. Supplementary has 2 P's, which is like 2 backwards 9s. 9 and 9 make 18, which is 180. That's my trick. Complementary has 1 P, which is like 1 backward 9 to make 90. Supplementary has 2 backwards 9s. 9 and 9 make 18, or 180. So that's a trick I have for remembering the difference between complementary and supplementary. If it helps you, steal my trick. If it does not help you, come up with your own to remember the difference in the definitions. But knowing those differences will help you in today's lesson, and it will also help you in high school when you get to studying geometry more. So those are the 3 vocabulary words today. You can tell from these vocabulary words that we're probably going to be talking about angles today. In fact, we're going to be talking about angles and triangles today, but we're still connecting to linear equations. So what we'll be doing today, and if you still need time to copy down these vocabulary terms, don't worry about it. Just pause the video and copy the definitions until you're ready to move on. Because it is a video, you can pause it whenever you want to finish writing. Just remember to keep going. But I'm going to keep going. Today, we'll be combining our knowledge of angles and triangles. So we'll be using angles and triangles like we learned in modules 2 and 3. We'll be taking that knowledge and combining it with our skills in writing and solving linear equations from the first 4 lessons of this module, from lessons 1 through 4. So in other words, what we're doing is we are writing and solving linear equations about angles. So write and solve linear equations about angles. That's what we're doing today. Now, writing and solving means we're going to be practicing kind of what we did in the very first part of this module. We're going to be translating from an English description of angles to a math sentence. So we're going to translate from English into math, and then we're going to solve. So it's translating and solving. And I know some of you had trouble with the translating lessons in the first part of the module. That's okay. This is more practice, and I'm here to help you. We're going to walk through some problems together, and I'm available if you need help on any problem set questions. But let's get to some examples where we translate and solve. So translating and solving. In the earlier part of this module, we just translated. In lesson 4, we solved. Now we're combining translating and solving. Our examples today are actually in your workbook on page 41. So what I'd like to do now is go to page 41 when you are ready. If you did not copy everything down yet, go back in the video and copy down your notes. Fill in your notebooks, fill in your loose notes, whatever you're using for notes, fill it in. And then when you are ready, come back to this part of the video and let's talk about some of the examples from page 41. But let's go to, I'm going to go to page 41 right now, so hopefully you're all caught up on your notes. Page 41 has example 1 and example 2. And you can see I've already done these for you because they are examples. And so I'm just going to, if you want to pause the video now and copy down my work for example 1. But I am going to talk you through it. Example 1 says that one angle is 5 degrees less than 3 times the degree measure of another angle. Together, the angle measures have a sum of 143. What is the measure of each angle? So first thing we have to do is translate. So I know we're talking about 2 angles because it says one angle here and then another angle. So there's 2 angles. So what I did is I labeled them angle A and angle B. Now, angle A, I just said was X. And so right here, I said the degree measure of another angle, that's X. You can see I crossed out the degree measure of another, and I just put X. So the angle, the first angle is X. That's angle A. Angle B, it says it's 5 degrees less than 3 times X. This is our translating skills from earlier in the module, so it should sound familiar. Well, 3 times X is just 3 times X, which is 3X. And 5 degrees less than that, 5 degrees less means it's 5 smaller than this. So we have to do minus 5 after that. So it's 5 less than 3 times X. So that's angle A, that's angle B. And then the last piece of information says, the angle measures have a sum of 143, which means A plus B is going to equal 143. The angles have a sum of 143. And then it says, what is the measure of each angle? Well, I know A plus B is 143. So I take A, which is X. I take B, which is 3X minus 5. I put them together. I'm going to use the associative property to combine the x's. X and 3x make 4x. I get 4x minus 5 equals 143. Then I'm going to use the addition property of equality. I'm going to add 5 to both sides to get the x term by itself. So I get minus 5 plus 5 is 0. So I get 4x by itself. Addition property tells me I have to do the same to both sides. I add 5 over here. I have to add 5 here. 143 plus 5 is 148. So I get 4x equals 148. Then I have to follow, then I get the x by itself by dividing by 4, because 4 divided by 4 is 1x. So I get 1x on this side. Division property of equality tells me if I divide by 4 over here, I have to divide by 4 over here. 148 divided by 4 is 37. That's the solution. Now we're not done yet. I have to finish this. And I left this one blank to show you how to finish because it says, what is the measure of each angle? Well, angle A is just up here, X. So I know angle A is just X by itself, which is 37. So angle A is going to be 37 degrees. The tricky one is for angle B, because angle B is 3x minus 5. So I still have some math to do because x is 37. I have 3 times 37 minus 5. 3 times 37 is 111 because 3 times 30 is 90. 3 times 7 is 21. 90 plus 21 is 111. So 3 times 37 is 111, and then I do 111 minus 5 is 106 degrees. So the angles together, so my final answer, 37 degrees and 106 degrees. That's my answer. 37 degrees and 106 because I needed each angle. I needed both of them. And that's how you solve. You translate to find the expressions. And then for this one, we knew the expression, we had to add them to make 143. So this is the translation, like we did in earlier lessons. And then in lesson 4, we solved it. So we're doing that again today. Example 2 is much the same, only a little bit longer because this time it's asking for 3 angles. Example 2 says, given a right triangle, find the degree measures of the angles if one angle is 10 degrees more than 4 times the degree measure of the other angle, and the third angle is the right angle. So I did some translating. Angle A, I said was going to be x, the degree measure of the other angle. So this other angle is going to be x. So I said that was angle A. Angle B is the first part, is this one angle right here. If B angle is 10 more than 4 times x. So I did 4x because 4 times x, 4 times the other angle, plus 10 for 10 more. So the first angle is x. Another angle is 4x plus 10. And the third angle is the right angle, which I know is a right angle is 90 degrees. So angle C is just going to be 90. So I have x, 4x plus 10, and 90. And then I need to put these into an equation. Well, my equation is going to be A plus B plus C equals 180 because I know all triangles, and this is a right triangle. A triangle equals, the degrees in a triangle equal 180. So I know these 3 angles have to add to make 180. So I take all my pieces right here. I do the x and the 4x plus 10 for B. I do A, B, and C equal 180. That's the equation I'm solving right here. X plus 4x plus 10 plus 90 equals 180. That's my equation. Then I start combining. I use the associative property to group the x's together to make 5x, and the 10 and 90 together to make 100. And it still equals 180. Then I use the subtraction property of equality to get this 100 gone. If I take away 100 from this side, I have to take 100 away from this side. So I keep the 5x right here, and the 180 turns into 80. Then I use the division property of equality to make the 5 go away. 5 divided by 5 is 1x. I have to divide by 5 on this side. 80 divided by 5 is 16. So I know x is 16. The first angle, which is x by itself, is just 16 degrees. Angle B, which remember was 4x plus 10, is 4 times 16 plus 10. 4 times 16 is 64. 64 plus 10 is 74. So after I find x, I use it to find B. And then angle C is just 90 degrees. It told us that in the question. So the 3 angles are 16 degrees, 74 degrees, and 90 degrees. So that is another example of what we'll be doing today. We're translating to describe angles, combining those angles in an equation, solving the equation for the x, and then using the x to find all the angles. That's what we're doing today. Those are some examples that I just showed you. If you need a little bit more time to look at my examples, so look at my explanations, go ahead, go back and watch this part of the video again. If you understand what you're doing, then we're ready to move on to the next page where we're going to actually do some practice step by step with new questions. So when you're ready, join me again right now at this part of the video to keep going. If you're not ready, go back and watch something else. Maybe send me a question on email. But the video goes on. So let's go to page 42 for exercises. We're going to have exercises on page 42 and 43. There are 6 exercises that we'll be working on. So let's start the first one together. So So it says a pair of congruent angles. Now there's that word congruent. Remember, congruent means equal, same shape, same size. So these angles are going to be congruent. They're going to be equal. So equal angles are described as follows. The degree measure of one angle is 3 more than twice a number, and the other angle's degree measure is 54.5, less than 3 times the number. Determine the measure of the angles in degrees. Okay, so when we translate, we always need to find our unknown. In this question, the unknown is going to be this number they're going to talk about. They say twice a number and 3 times the number. So instead of the number, that's going to be our variable, x. Twice a number, twice x. Okay, so the degree measure of one angle. So let's just say the degree measure of angle A. So angle A is A equals 3 more, which is plus 3, than twice 2 times x. So A equals is 3 more than twice x. So A is going to be twice x, 2 times x plus 3. That's our translation for A. And the other angle's degree measure, so the other angles, so I'm going to say, and B is equals 54.5 less than, so that's minus 54.5, 3 times the number, 3 times x. So it's 3x, and it's 54.5 less than that, so minus 54.5. So we have A, we have B. Now we need to find what they are. Well, we know A, we know B, but we need to put them in an equation. Well, for this, we go back to the very beginning where it tells us that these angles are congruent. These angles are equal. So the last thing we know is that A equals B because they are congruent. So if A equals B, my equation, I can do 2x plus 3, which is A, and that equals B, 3x minus 54.5. That's my equation that I can solve. So let's solve it. Let's use our properties and solve. The first thing I'm going to do to solve is I'm going to do minus 2x from both sides. That is the subtraction property of equality right there. So that gives me 0 plus 3, which is just 3. And 3x minus 2x is 1x minus 54.5. Next thing I'm going to do is add 54.5 to both sides to make that 0. That made a 0 there. And I have to do plus 54.5 to both sides. This is the addition property of equality. So I'm left on this side with x, and then 54.5 plus 3 is 57.5. So x is 57.5, which works. But that still is not the answer to my question because I need to find the angles. X is not the angles. Remember, angle A is 2x plus 3. Angle B is 3x minus 54.5. So I need to take this x to find A and B. So A is 2x plus 3, which is 2 times 57.5 plus 3. 57.5 times 2 is 115. 115 plus 3 is 118. So angle A equals 118 degrees. Now you can actually stop here because it tells us that these angles are congruent. So if A is 118, then B is also 118. But just to be safe, just to check, we should find b also. B is 3x minus 54.5. So that's 3 times x, which is 57.5, minus 54.5. 3 times 57.5 is, I believe, 172.5. 172.5 minus 54.5. So 172.5 minus 54.5 is also 118. So that checks. So the angles are, determine the measure of the angles. The angles are 118 degrees for both. That's the answer. Now I know there's a few extra steps in here. That was a multiple step problem. You had to find the pieces. You had to make them equal. You had to solve for x. And then you had to use x to find the angles again. So this was 3 steps. Find the pieces, 4 steps. Find the pieces, write the equation, solve the equation, find the angles. 4 steps. Quite intense, I know, but this is why we practice. This is why I am here to help. So if you need any help, please remember to ask. Let's move on to exercise 2. It says the measure of one angle is described as 12 more than 4 times a number. Its supplement is twice as large. Find the measure of each angle in degrees. Okay, so the measure of one angle, let's say the measure of A, to keep it simple. So A is described, means equals 12 more plus 12, 4 times a number. Let's say a number is unknown, so that's our x. So A is 12 more than 4x. So we do A is 4x plus 12. Now it says its supplement. So let's say angle B is twice as large. Okay, so angle B is 2 times A because it's twice as large. 2 times A, which we can also write 2 times 4x plus 12. That is the 2 pieces. We have what angle A using x, and we have angle B using x. We just took A and multiplied by 2. Now that's step 1. We have our pieces. Next, we need to come up with an equation. Well, to come up with the equation, we're going to use this key word right here. It's supplement, which means angle A and B are supplementary, which if we go back to our vocabulary, angle A and B add up to 180. So we know angle A plus angle B equals 180. So when we write our equation, that's what we're going to use. We're going to say angle A, 4x plus 12, plus angle B, which is 2 times 4x plus 12, equal 180 because they're supplementary. Now my first step right here is I'm going to use the distributive property. Because I'm going to keep the 4x plus 12, but I'm going to pass the 2 into these parentheses right here. So I'm going to get 2 times 4x, which is 8x, plus 2 times 12, which is 24, still equals 180. Next, I'm going to move things around. I'm going to use the commutative property to put the x's and the constants next to each other. So I'm going to get the 4x plus 8x plus 12 plus 24 equals 180. Then I'm going to use the associative property to add my pieces together. 4x plus 8x is 12x. 12 plus 24 is 36 equals 180. You see how I'm using all the properties we used in lesson 4 to simplify this, to solve this. And I have a lot of practice on this. You do not have as much practice as I have, but you can still try. It might take you a little bit longer, but I believe in you. I know you can do it. When I'm at this step, I need to use the subtraction property of equality, and I'm going to take 36 away from both sides. When I take 36 away from both sides, I get 12x equals 144. Then I'm going to use the division property of equality. Divide both sides by 12. That gives me 1x all by itself. And 144 divided by 12 is 12. So now I know x equals 12. But that's not the answer to my question. That's only step 3. Step 1 was find the pieces. Step 2 was write the equation. Step 3 is find x. Last step, use x to find a and b. So a is 4x plus 12. X I know is 12, so I get 4 times 12 plus 12. That's 48 plus 12. A is 60. A equals 60. Well, B, remember B is just twice as large. B is 2A. So B equals 2A. A I know is 60. So B is 2 times 60. B is 120. So angle A is 60. Angle B is 120. Those are my answers right there. Done. 4 steps. Find the pieces, write the equation, solve the equation, use the solution to change the pieces into constants, just like that. I know it might be overwhelming. Just take it one step at a time and you will do well. Just take lots of time to practice. The good news is this is all on video. So if you don't understand something, you have lots of time to go back and keep working on it. You have lots of time to go back and keep working and watch it again and get more help. But let's move on to exercise 3 right here. A triangle has angles described as follows. So this is a triangle. The measure of the first angle, so I'm going to say the measure of the first angle, I'm just going to say that is A, is 4 more plus 4, then 7 times a number, I'm going to say x. So angle A is 4 more than 7x. So angle A, 7x plus 4. That's my translation. 4 more than 7 times a number. So x is just a number. Next thing, angle B, or the measure of the second angle, which I'm going to say is B. B is 4 less than the first. So angle B is 4 less than the first. So angle B is the first angle. A, 4 less means minus 4. So it's A minus 4. So angle B is A, 7x plus 4 minus 4. So B is just going to be 7x because it's 4 smaller than A. Looking good so far. Angle, and then the measure of the third angle, angle C, is twice as large as the first. 2 times the first, 2 times A. So C is 2 times A, which is also 2 times 7x plus 4. Excuse me, because A was 7x plus 4. Let's just distribute it now. I'm going to distribute and pass it out now. So 2 times 7x is 14x, plus 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have my pieces. I have the first angle, 7x plus 4. Angle B is 7x. Angle C is 14x plus 8. That's all with variables. I'm pretty sure they want us to find the actual numbers for these. Yes, it says, what is the measure of each angle in degrees? So I need to actually solve this now. Well, to solve this, I need to put these pieces into some kind of equation. The equation I'm going to use is actually given to me by this keyword right here. These 3 angles make a triangle. They told us it's a triangle. We pay attention to every word in these questions, which means I know my equation. I know that a triangle, A plus B plus C, these 3 angles, they are all in a triangle, which means together they have to equal 180 because all triangles make 180. So this is what I'm going to use to make my equation. I'm going to add them all together to get 180. So A, which is 7x plus 4, plus B, which is 7x, plus C, which is 14x plus 8, has to equal 180. Now, I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to tell you what I did with this. You should be able to see this. I'm going to use the commutative property to put the x's all together, 7x plus 14x, and to put the numbers together, plus 4 plus 8 equals 180. That's the commutative property. Next, I'm going to use, here, I'll label it right here. That was the commutative property. Next, I'm going to use the associative property to combine the pieces. I'm going to combine the x's and combine the constants. So 7x plus 14x ends up being 28x. And then 4 plus 8 is 12, equals 180. Getting better, I'm going to use the subtraction property of equality, and I'm going to do minus 12 on both sides. 12 minus 12 is 0, so I'm left with 28x. 180 minus 12 is 168. Now I'm going to use the division property of equality and divide both sides by 28. So 28x divided by 28 is just 1x. And then 168 divided by 28, let's see, this is going to be 6. I believe it's 6. What is, yep, it is 6. So x is 6. Now, you might need a calculator for that. I have a lot more training than you, so I could do it in my head. If you want to know how I did it in my head, I did 2 28s make 56, and 3 56s make 168. So that's 2 times 3 is 6. So there's 6, but it might be easier if you use a calculator or long division. So now I know x is 6. So now I can use this. I'm not done yet because that's not what it's asking. It's asking what is every angle. So angle A is going to be it was 7x plus 4. Now I know what x is. X is 6. 7 times 6 is 42 plus 4. So I know A is 46 degrees. A is going to be 46 degrees. For B, B was just 7x. So 7x means 7 times x is 6, remember? So B is 42 degrees. And then finally C. C was 14x plus 8, or simplified, C was just twice A, remember? So 2 times A. So to save myself some work, I'm going to say C is twice A A was 46. So C is just 2 times 46, which is 92 degrees. C equals 92 degrees. So those are my answers right there. That's the final step. Angle A is 46. Angle B is 42. Angle C is 92. And that's how we do number 3. We've found the pieces. We made our equation. We solved our equation, and we used the solution to find the angles. 4 things you have to do, but it is absolutely possible. I know you can do it. Do not let it scare you. Do not let it overwhelm you. You can do it. Just persevere, pay attention, try your best. I believe we have some more exercises for practice on the next page, page 43. Yes, we have 3 more exercises to do. Remember, this is a video, so if you ever want to take a break, you can. That's no problem at all. If you want to try these on your own, it would be a great time right now to pause the video. You try number 4, 5, and 6, and then come back and see if you did it right. So this would be a great time for you to pause the video, try number 4, 5, and 6, and then start the video again and see if you do it right. But I'm just going to keep going because I'm the one making the video. So number 4. If you pause the video, welcome back. Let's see if you did it right. One angle measures 9 more than 6 times a number. Okay, so one angle A measures is a fancy word for equals. A equals 9 more plus 9, 6 times a number. Well, 6 times is 6 times a number. There we go. A number, we're just going to say X. So A is 6X plus 9. 9 more than 6 times a number, and a number is just X. Good job. Okay, next. A sequence of rigid motions maps the angle A, oh, it was blue, maps A onto another angle, maps A onto B, and B is described, that is described as another fancy word for equals, onto B angle, and B is 30 less than 9 times, oh, the number. Remember, the number is X. 9 times is 9X. So B is 9X, only it's 30. We have to do minus 30 from that. There we go. What is the measure of the angle in degrees? I'm asking, it probably means what is the measure of the angles? Well, actually, it means angle because right now you're thinking, okay, so we have the pieces, but we also need to know what the equation is. We have the pieces, we need the equation. Well, what do we know about these angles that will help us find the equation? And the key comes from this right here. A sequence of rigid motions. Remember, rigid motions are like transformations, rotations, and reflections. So you should remember from other modules that rigid motions do not change size. So angle A is moved to angle B. It is mapped to angle B. But because they are rigid motions that map it, it means the angle does not change. So actually, A equals B because the only difference was the rigid motions, and rigid motions keep congruence. So A has to equal B. So that's where we get our equation from. It's a rigid motion that moves A onto B. So we know because they're rigid motions, the size does not change. So A equals B, which means 6X plus 9 equals 9X minus 30. That's what we know. So now what are we going to do? Well, first I'm going to have to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other side. So I'm going to do minus 6x to both sides. That gives 6x minus 6x is 0, so I get 9. 9x minus 6x is 3x minus 30. X is over here. Let's get that 30 gone. To get that 30 gone, I'm going to use the addition property of equality. Add 30 to both sides. Remember, add it to both sides. Minus 30 plus 30 makes 0, so I keep 3x. 9 plus 30 is 39. Then I'm going to use the division property of equality. 3x divided by 3 is 1x. 39 divided by 3 is 13. There's that. X is 13. But we're not done yet because we need the angle. We need the angle. Well, angle A, remember back over here, was 6x plus 9. X we know is 13, so we do 6 times 13 plus 9. 6 times 13 is 78. 78 plus 9 is 87. So A is 87 degrees. Now we know that they are rigid motions change them. So if A is 87 degrees, A should equal B, so B should also be 87 degrees. So I can stop now and say the answer is 87 degrees, but just to make sure I did this right, I'm going to double check and put in and solve for B also. B was 9x minus 30. I should get 87. I'm just checking to make sure I did not make a mistake. 9 times 13 minus 30. 9 times 13 is 117. And 117 minus 30 is 87 degrees. So the answer, the final answer, 87 degrees was the angle. The angle that they're talking about was 87 degrees. We translated to find the pieces. We used the clues to build our equation. We solved our equation, and we used the solution to find the angle, the unknown angle. A lot of different pieces to this, a lot of different ways, several different ways you could do this, but it is doable. You just have to do one step at a time. Moving on to exercise 5. A right triangle is described as having an angle of measure 6 less than -2 times a number. Okay, so having an angle. So let's say this angle, the first angle they're talking about, this angle right here is A. A is 6 less, minus 6, -2 times, so -2 times a number. A number, remember, that's just going to be our variable x. So A, we had -2 times a number, and then it's 6 less than that, so we do -6. That's A. Easy enough. Another angle measure, so the other angle in the right triangle, we're going to label as B. So B is going to be 3 less, -3, than -1/4 the number x. So it's 3 less than -1/4 the number. And remember, the number is our variable x. So we have -1/4 x, and it's 3 less than that. That's B. Our third angle is the right angle, 90. So the third angle is just going to be 90 degrees because it is a right triangle, so it has to have a right angle. What is the measure of the angles in degrees? So we have our pieces. We translated to find our 3 angles. Now we need an equation. Well, our equation, remember, this is a right triangle. It's a triangle, which means all 3 angles, A plus B plus C, it's a triangle, has to be 180, which means all of this has to be 180. So let's build our equation. We have -2x minus 6 plus -1/4 x minus 3 plus 90 equals 180. Fun times. First thing we're going to use is the commutative property to put like terms next to each other. So I'm going to do negative 2x plus negative 1/4 x, and then I get minus 6 minus 3 plus 90 equals 180. Now, so there's that. Then I'm going to use the associative property to put my pieces together. So negative 2x plus negative 1/4 x is going to be, it's getting more negative, so that's minus 2¼ x. Now this is minus 6 minus 3 plus 90. So this is negative 6. Negative 6 and negative 3 together make negative 9. Negative 9 with a positive 90 makes positive 81. If that was confusing to you, just remember to change it. Minus 6 to plus negative 6 plus negative 3. So you have plus negative 6, you have negative 6, negative 3, 90, and then just move them around. Do 90 minus 6 minus 3. You get 81. And all of that equals 180. Next thing I'm going to use is the subtraction property of equality to get the 81 away from the x side. So that makes it 0. So I get negative 2 1/4 x, and 180 minus 81 is 99. Now this is where it might get a little bit complicated, because I have a negative 2 1/4 x equals 99. The best thing you can do right now is to change the negative 2 1/4 x into an improper fraction. So we change this to negative 9/4 x equals 99. 2 1/4 and negative 9/4 is the same. Now to do this, I need to actually, I want to get the x. Remember, my goal is to just get x by itself. Positive x by itself. So what I do is I multiply both sides by negative 4/9. Negative 4/9 times negative 9/4. The 4 and the 4 cancel, turn into 1. The 9 and the 9 turn into 1, because 4 divided by 4, 9 divided by 9. So I get negative 1x, and then but because I have two negatives, a negative times a negative makes a positive. So when I multiply by negative 4/9, I get positive x. I just need to do the same thing times this side. 99 times negative 4/9. Now there's tricks to multiplying these fractions. I got 99 over 1 times negative 4 over 9. I know 99 is 9 times 11. So if I break it into 9 times 11, I can cancel the 9 and cancel the 9, because 9 divided by 9 makes 1. So now I have in the numerator 1 times 11 times negative 4, and in the denominator I have 1 times 1. Well, all the 1s can just go invisible. And then all I get left 11 times negative 4. 11 times negative 4 is negative 44. I know that was a little bit of fraction work, and you might not be great with fraction work, especially with negative numbers. If you need help with this, remember to ask me, and I will log on to a Google Meet and I'll help you out. So, but after all this math, I know x is negative 44, which means I'm almost done. I just need to use that to find the degrees. So let's start with A. A was negative 2x minus 6. So it's negative 2 times negative 44 minus 6. Now, negative 2 times negative 44. 2 times 44 is 88. And a negative times a negative makes a positive. So negative 2 times negative 44 turns into positive 88. And then, so we get 88 minus 6, which is 82. So A is 82 degrees. B, so that's one piece. B was negative 1/4 x minus 3. So we do negative 1/4. X is negative 44 minus 3. Negative times a negative turns into a positive, so we don't need to do that anyway. And 44, 1/4 of 44 is 11. And 11 minus 3 is 8. So B was 8 degrees. And remember, C was just 90 degrees. We did not need the variable for that. So that's all three angles to our triangle. If you were confused how I got 11, let me do the math over here to help you out. We got negative 1/4 times 44. 44 is just 44, negative 44, sorry, over 1. I know 44 is 4 times 11. So there's a 4 in the numerator and a 4 in the denominator. 4 divided by 4, it makes 1. And the negative make a positive. So the only thing left is this 11 that turns into a positive. So it's positive 11. If you need help with that, please reach out to me. I'll help you work on your fraction stuff. I know it might have been a while since you've done fractions. I still want to be able to help you. So ask for help if you need it. But moving on to our last exercise, exercise 6. Exercise 6 is one angle is 1 less than 6 times the measure of another. The two angles are complementary angles. Find the measure of each angle in degrees. So this other angle right here, I'm just going to label this another angle is x. So one angle, which I will label angle A, angle A equals 1 less minus 1 than 6 times x. So angle A is going to be 6x minus 1. Now angle B is just going to be x. Remember right here, the measure of another angle, another angle is x, so B is just x. B is x, and A is 1 less than 6 times B, 6 times x. So pretty simple expressions this time. Now we need to put them into an equation. Our equation comes from this right here. The two angles are complementary angles. They're complementary angles. And from our vocabulary, you should remember that complementary means add to 90, which means A plus B equals 90. So that's what we're going to use for complementary to build our equation. So let's build our equation. We have A, which is 6x minus 1, plus B, which is x, equals 90. Well, the next thing I'm going to be using is the commutative property. I'm going to put the x's together. 6x plus x minus 1 equals 90. Going to associative property, do 6x plus x, which is 7x minus 1 equals 90. I'm going to use the addition property of equality to add 1 to both sides to make this a 0. So I get 7x equals 91. Then I'm going to use the division property of equality to divide both sides by 7. 7x divided by 7 is 1x. 91 divided by 7 is 13. So x is 13, which means b is also 13, because b is just x. So now I know that, and so now I can use x to find a. A is 6x minus 1, which is 6 times 13 minus 1. 6 times 13 is 78 minus 1. 78 minus 1 is 77. So A equals 77 degrees. And B equals x over here. So B just equals 13 degrees. Those are the measure of the angles. Those are the solutions. So this is the math we're practicing today. It does take a little bit of time. I don't know how difficult it is. It might take you a little bit of time. But remember, you're translating. First step, just to translate. Find the pieces. Step 2, build your equation using clues, like the complementary angles was a clue. So find the pieces, build your equation with the clues. That's step 2. Step 3, use the properties from lesson 4 to solve the equation. And then last step, use the solution to find the angles. That's what you're doing today. Those are some exercises. Let's look at the rest of the lesson. Page 45 is the exit ticket, which is the last thing we do, so I'm going to slide that to the back. Pages 47 and 48 are your homework helper, where they give you some more examples. If my examples did not help you supermount, you can always look at the homework helper, and they will give you more examples, more solutions, and more thinking about how they did it. And they have extra help on page 47. And on this page, page 48, they give you 4 homework helper problems. Very nice of them. Page 49 is the problem set that you're going to do for your homework today. Same thing we did for practice. You're going to translate, build your equation, solve the equation, and then find the answer. So translate, build your equation. Step 3, solve the equation. And step 4, use the solution to find the answer. Those are the 4 steps that you're doing today for all 6 of these questions. And also remember that my answers to these 6 are online. They are on the Google Classroom. Try these and then check your answers with mine. There's obviously not enough work right here to fit it all, so I'm going to do my work on a separate piece of paper. So should you. I would like to see all your work, please. It also makes it easier if you have questions, if I can see your work, so I can help figure out what you might have done incorrectly. So try these 6 questions in the problem set. Check your work with mine. And then when you feel comfortable moving on and you feel like you know what you're doing, try the 2 exit ticket problems on page 45. Page 45 is your exit ticket. That's the one you do. That's page 45 is what you take a picture of, and you turn in that picture for credit today. But the exit ticket's the exact same thing. Find the pieces, build your equation, solve the equation, and then use the solution to find the answer. So take a picture of this exit ticket page, turn it in, have fun, do your best. Ask questions if you need help with anything on this, and I'll see you for the next lesson. Have a great day.